The information shared on Light Body Radio is for educational and informational purposes only. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, licensed healthcare provider, or qualified wellness practitioner with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or health goal. Dr. Lara May, her guests, and affiliates do not claim to cure, prevent, or treat any condition and are not responsible for any actions taken based on the information shared in this podcast. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you are responsible for your own health decisions and that any actions you take based on the content are at your own discretion and risk. Thank you for tuning in to Light Body Radio.
Welcome to Light Body Radio, where science meets soul and healing gets multidimensional. I am your host, Dr. Lara May, functional medicine pharmacist, master intuitive Reiki channel, and certified life and health coach. Here we decode root causes, transmute stuck energy, and empower your full spectrum healing journey, body, mind, and light body. This isn't just wellness, it's awakening, grounded in science, guided by spirit, and designed for your evolution. Let's rise and radiate. Welcome to the next level of you. Hello and welcome to Light Body Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Lara May, and today we have with us Mick Emandi of Regeneration, a regenerative medicine practice leveraging breakthrough stem cell and hydrogen-based technologies to help people suffering from chronic pain and complex conditions find real hope and measurable results. Over the past 9 years, he's helped more than 30,000 patients improve their health and generated over $70 million in revenue by focusing on innovative science-backed solutions. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lara.
So tell us how you came to be in this field of regenerative medicine, and then we'll talk about what exactly that means for you and your practice so that the audience understands at a deeper level.
Yeah, initially, we practiced traditional medicine in our practice, and there's a subset of patients that we really just didn't have much that we could do to help them. These are primarily people that are dealing with like terminal conditions like cancer, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, a lot of other patients with chronic pain where they have no more hope. Opiates seem to be the last resort. And a lot of people, go down a rabbit hole with that, as you know. And so when I was exposed to initially the hydrogen technology, they were coming over from Japan. And when I first experienced it, I had such a profound experience, and I saw the thousands of clinical studies supporting it that I bought the company at that point and started to integrate it into my practice and to help those people that had lost hope. And since that time,
No, keep going.
No, and since that time, obviously, regenerative medicine has progressed to the arena of stem cells and exosomes, and some recent breakthroughs in that field has allowed us to have a new breakthrough in stem cell technology, which we're able to combine with the hydrogen's capabilities to get literally miraculous results for our patients.
Okay. Are there specific diseases or disease states that you work with, or is it essentially like everything under the sun could be addressed with these technologies?
Yeah, these technologies get to the root cause of the conditions that we're dealing with, which is typically oxidative stress. So the toxins in our body are obviously generating free radicals. Those free radicals are going after our healthy cells. And when they do that, that's called oxidative stress. And too much oxidative stress leads to inflammation. And so that inflammation obviously leads to the metabolic conditions and diseases that we are all dealing with and with our patients.
I've heard a lot about especially stem cells and PRP and that side of this field. in the realm of, joint health, or, like recovering knees and hips and those, and, shoulders, and like more ortho type of things. Do
Correct, correct.
you help people with that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really the foundation of what stem cells have been able to do in the United States. Because we're not using actual stem cells, we're using the signaling molecules of the stem cells, which is similar to what people understand when it relates to peptides.
Okay.
Peptides you inject, and then they're signaling certain receptors within your body, and those receptors turn on, and all of a sudden you have great hair or you have great skin, right? So
Sure.
those receptors are what the peptides are going after, whereas the stem cells and their secretome, which is their signaling component, if you will, are really going after doing the same kind of signaling, but on a massive scale.
Okay.
So basically being able to touch all the cells in your body, and especially the ones that are injured or needing regeneration.
Okay, cool. That's very
Yeah.
cool. So, do you, this is a practice within the United States? Because I know there's also been some, evolution with especially stem cells and legality within, United States itself. And so,
Yes. Yes.
for actual stem cells, you have to leave the US for that, right? Unless, are you
Yes and
harvesting?
no.
Okay.
Yes and no. And I can have Dr. Greg touch on this after I just mention a few things. We are using the signaling of the stem cells, the paracrine signaling, which Dr. Greg will get into a little bit more, but it allows us to actually provide treatment or care management to this subset of patients that typically have to go overseas to
Mhm.
get systemic injections of stem cells, because we can do this systemically, similar to you would for peptides. You'll be able to get this systemic application with peptides, but now you're able to do it with the signaling capacity of the stem cells. Dr.
Okay.
Greg can talk a little bit more about that too.
Sure.
So, well, thank you very much, Dr. Laura. Fundamentally, you want to remember that there's been basically 4 generations of regenerative medicine. The first one, as far back as Better Living Through Chemistry in 1956, when we imagined ourselves to be on the border of the George Jetson's future. And that was called platelet-rich plasma, where we pulled the blood. We discovered there's these cool growth factors in it. And we surmised, rather appropriately so, hey, if we take these growth factors and we put them in an injured area in such a concentrated form, should speed up the rate of healing. It's a great idea. It's very intuitive. The juice is not worth the squeeze. You never hear anybody say, oh my gosh, you got to run out and get PRP. It's amazing, right? And
Right.
if it was so great from 1956 till now, you would have heard about that. In the 1970s, we were utilizing embryonic stem cells. They were amazing. You got a bad knee, you put the embryonic stem cell in the knee, and 6 weeks later, you get a brand new knee. Well, if they're so great, how come we don't use them anymore? The reason is because they come from aborted fetal tissue. Nobody in America is going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Between 1970 and 1990, science in America sought to replace that stem cell reservoir. And what they discovered was they could access the other birthing tissue, the placenta, right? Now, the placenta is basically a biological hard drive that's partitioned into 6 parts, and each part is responsible for a different section of development in the fetus. So over the 280-day arc of gestation, at one point, the placenta is going to go, hey, clump of cells, make a skeleton, make a nervous system, make a cardiovascular system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, till we got this 3-dimensionally printed human being, right? What science has done is repurposed the regeneration arc of the placenta and used it for the reproduction arc of the placenta and used it for regeneration. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I'm 60. The unfortunate part of this is that 1990 was the day before yesterday for me. But in all actuality, it was 35 years ago. And the technology that we had 35 years ago was orders of magnitude inferior to what we have available in the 21st century. But wouldn't you know that all the labs, if we decided to open up a stem cell lab today, we're using the exact same archaic technologies 35 years ago. There's a number of problems with that. Number one, it has to shred the placenta into pieces, and they're only going to get about 100 to 1,000 samples out of that placenta. And they can only access 1/6 of the source code at a time. Okay. So if what's wrong with you is not part of the 1/6 of the source code that they harvested, then it's not going to do anything. It doesn't matter how many bazillions, that's a technical medical term, how many bazillions of cells that they put in the little magic tube. The Jack and the Beanstalk tube is not going to do anything for you if it's not the right code for the tissue that's damaged. Okay.
Right.
Number one. Number two, this archaic mechanical engineering shearing process, which again is only accessing 1/6 of all 6 parts of the source code, because they get such a limited amount of stem cell vials available to them. In order to be profitable, the FDA allows them to expand them. That is a fancy way of saying clone them. Now, I'm old enough to remember Xerox copy machines, okay? And if you ever saw a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, all right, then the end result is something that looks nothing like the original. And we're doing that at the genetic level when we harvest these stem cells and we copy them and copy them and copy them up to 7 times expansion so that the lab can now be profitable. And so what is not divulged to the patient in the certificate of analysis is where in this cloning process are you receiving this vial of magic Jack and the Beanstalk beans?
Right.
Okay, so did you get 1st generation or are you getting 7th generation? Because if you're getting 7th generation, at best you're getting a blank Memorex tape. Does that make sense?
Right. It's degraded. It degrades over the course of
degraded. Now, now the problem is that the guy who invented mesenchymal stem cells, Dr. Andrew Kaplan, in 1991 was like, well, mesenchymal stem cells are going to do exactly what embryonic stem cells will do. But as it turns out, embryonic stem cells that had this almost 100% success rate, and everybody who's doing it exactly the way that they were, coloring by the numbers, they're getting like a 38% success rate. So they were like, hey, Dr. Kaplan, what's going on? And in 2017, he published a paper called Mesenchymal Stem Cells, Maybe It's Time for a Name Change. And then he stood up in front of the AMA and he said, hey, I was totally wrong. The stem cell is not doing what we thought it did. It doesn't go into the knee and differentiate, proliferate into the target tissue as we surmised. What actually is happening is the stem cell is just this piñata ball of somebody else's DNA. And inside the piñata ball, the candy is the 1/6 of the paracrine signals or the secretome that we were able to mechanically extract out of the placenta before we killed it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
On top of it, all of the factors, cofactors, enzymes, analytes that nature embedded in that placenta so that the reproduction or regeneration would be optimal, that's all lost during this 35-year-old technology. And Dr. Kaplan said, look, first of all, when we take this stem cell, it's somebody else's DNA, and when it cracks open onto the floor of the target tissue, if during the chain of custody from mom to human, right, very stringent FDA chain of custody, 5% are still missed for genetic abnormalities, patients will get graft versus host disease. That's a kind medical way of saying you're going to get cancer.
Yeah.
Okay. So he said, hey, you don't need to do that. We now have the technology to just squeeze the placenta. For lack of a better term, I have no better analogy, so please forgive me. You're milking the cow instead of killing the cow. And you're getting all 6 sections of the placenta. And because it's a much gentler but superior approach to ripping the thing to shreds, you're getting all the analytes, all the factors, all the cofactors that allow these signals to go into the body and do things that the paracrine signals that are being transported into the body through this piñata ball of somebody else's DNA could never, ever do. For instance, how do these things know where to go? Well, they don't have a tracking mechanism, but when you get it directly from the placenta, there's something called chemotaxis where our damaged tissue is giving off an SOS signal. Like, let's say my anterior cruciate ligament is damaged. This thing's giving off an SOS. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. So here comes this cloud of all kinds of different software. Only the software that's specific for my anterior cruciate ligament is going to drop out of that cloud and bind to my ACL, right?
Right.
When I say bind, what I mean is stem cells can't bind. They just lay there. And if they get washed away by circulation, nothing we can do about it. These things bind to the target tissue. They drill into the target tissue through a collagen drill called fibronectin, and then they pump the signal into the connective tissue for up to 28 days. Why is that relevant? Because our best stem cells will maybe last 7 days. So there's other really gigantic advantages to getting it directly from the placenta, using 21st century, like we use 21st century technology anytime we can. I'm engaged in technologically mediated telepathy called text messaging, right? Well, I'm not going to send snail mail. I'm going to send a text message, right? If I'm going to do that with a text message, why wouldn't I use the best, most available, safest, and most effective technology when I'm trying to rebuild me, Steve Austin, the $6 million man, right?
Yeah.
So, in a nutshell, doctor.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That was a really good, especially like layman's term explanation. So I appreciate that, especially for my listeners too. And I think also I think it needs to be said that this is just one example throughout the entire medical industry of where we have the knowledge of this cutting edge technology, but the actual implementation of it is not widespread. And so I'm really grateful for the two of you and your work, and actually, I was raising the bar and allowing this to be actually implemented instead of just sitting out in the periphery in the research world, not actually getting to real patients on a real measurable scale. You know what I mean? I'm sure you do. You're doing it. So, all right. So let's talk about who are the ideal candidates for. I'm sure, the implications seem widespread, and it sounds like almost anybody could benefit from this process and from this technology. But are there some people that are better candidates than others?
Do you want that one, Mick, or do you want me?
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are, when they're at their end of their options, they're more open-minded about looking at other options that can heal them without any side effects, and can be safe for them to do at the same time. There are over 3,000 clinical studies showing how hydrogen is able to help mitigate oxidative stress and regenerate tissue throughout your body. So everything from neurodegenerative conditions to cardiovascular disease to autoimmune conditions, even cancers. Obviously, pain is a big one. Neuropathic pain, diabetic pain, chronic pain, all across the board. So the hydrogen has had a very long history in being able to address that. We just happen to have an amazing technology that is able to really deliver it in many different methods so that patients get significantly better, faster, stronger results than anything that you could ever read on the internet. On top of that, stem cells obviously have been big lately and such. And there's a lot of talk about, living forever, or at least living to 120. So stem cells, now that signaling component, which allows us to treat not only patients with joint issues and neck and back and things of that nature, but also systemic conditions that previously were relegated to traveling overseas due to the federal FDA ban on systemic stem cell infusions. So for that reason, we're able to treat people with Alzheimer's. We're able to treat people with Parkinson's, with heart disease, with autoimmune conditions, systemic neuropathic pain. So across the board.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I love that you're bringing out these specific issues as well, because these classically, especially in the allopathic medicine world, these are the things that people are told there's no cure,
no hope.
You're just going to get actually worse. Sorry,
Yep.
but this is the fact. And then, so then your medicine cabinet just gets more full and more full and more full of prescription medicine that doesn't really work, honestly.
Yeah.
At best it can maybe mitigate a few symptoms, but that's about it. So, so you actually, and in practice, do you see like just again, like improvement, reversal? Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, no, we are seeing reversal of patients with, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, for example, more recently in less than 4 weeks. I mean, literally incredible. Before, we would see those kind of improvements with hydrogen therapy in 3 to 4 months. Now, with the addition of the stem cell technology, I mean, that window has dropped down to less than 30 days. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
quite incredible.
Okay.
You'll see this. I mean, this is going to change the face of regenerative medicine throughout the world. This new technology, it's really powerful. Like Dr. Greg said, for the first time in the history of regenerative medicine, we're able to tap into all 6 regions of this placenta. And people know the umbilical cord and the Wharton's jelly, but does everybody know about the amnion, the chorion, the villus placenta, the decidua? Each of
Right.
them have their own unique stem cells, and each of them have a role to play in taking that embryo into a human being in the period of 9 months. And without all of them, you're not getting full regenerative healing. And that's what this is able to do. So it's really able to accelerate. And it has some very unique properties because of the various areas of the stem cells. It's able to shift patients who are dealing with severe pain and inflammation and swelling in just a matter of days. They're having a significant improvement in their pain. Literally in 24 hours, over 50% of their pain is gone. It's incredible. Dr.
Wow.
Greg can talk about the M1 macrophage, maybe explain that a little bit as to how it's able to be triggered and how the signaling duration of this particular stem cell technology that we're using is able to be 5x the signaling strength of what's currently being used for in the way of stem cells and exosomes.
Sure. Yes,
Dr.
please. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So fundamentally, the real problem here, Dr. Laura, is nobody sent the nervous system the email that said, by the way, we're in the miracle of the 21st century with planes, trains, automobiles, and this new thing called air conditioning. So it thinks that we're still walking barefoot along the savannah, chasing woolly mammoths and running away from saber-toothed tigers. So it is responding or expecting to get a signal set from the environment through our sight, our hearing, our taste, our smell, etc., that is consistent with what happened when man was on that point of time. Okay. But it's getting all these weird, confusing signals like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Taco Bell, Mountain Dew, my favorite thing in the whole world. Okay. That are completely aberrant to the nervous system. The nervous system does not have a programming language to understand, these types of signals. So what ends up happening is nature has accommodated man to optimally survive for that pristine natural environment. So if Mick and I and a couple of the other fellas get sent out to go hunt a woolly mammoth, okay, and while we're out, I'm cracking a joke and I trip over a rock and I bang my knee after everybody makes fun of me, the pack leader is going to say, okay, dum-dum, sit under that tree over there for 3 days, then come find us. Well, why 3 days? Because they figured out that's the acute inflammatory process. So what's happening during acute inflammation on my knee is I'm getting redness, pain, heat, and swelling on my knee. I'm getting a sphere of inflammation. It's a negative disincentive to not move called pain. Sit there, don't do anything. It's red because I'm enhancing circulation. It's hot because more circulation is going through, and it's swollen because nature doesn't know we have this new thing called a knee brace. So it's creating its own knee brace. And during that 3 days, it's sending out those SOS signals to the rest of the body. Anybody that can help this guy's knee, I need you to amass at the borders of this sphere of inflammation. In 3 days, I'm going to drop the walls of Jericho. I need all of you guys to flood in, fix this dude's knee so he can go out and be a productive member of the hunt. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is a bioelectrical signal that is completely disrupted by the air conditioning that I love to sit in and every other electrical magnetic waveform that we are exposed to that this machine was not designed to be exposed to. So what's causing that redness, pain, heat, and swelling is a single nanobot called an M1 macrophage. That thing goes through a personality shift after 3 days where nature is supposed to release these 2 analytes and shift it into M2, which is recover and repair. Right? So the inflammation is only supposed to last 72 hours. But the electricity that's surrounding us, the toxins that are surrounding us, are disrupting that. So this M1 to M2 phase shift never happens. So now our acute inflammation becomes subacute. Now our subacute inflammation becomes chronic. Now we're dealing with a whole nother set of issues, right, Dr. Laura? That chronic pain That chronic pain is upsetting the patient because he's like, man, when I was a kid, I could fall off a 3-story building and bounce and everything was fine. Now at this age, if I stub my toe, I want to be airlifted to the ER. What's going on? And it's going to stress him out. And that stress is going to activate what? Fight or flight, right? Because it doesn't know that he's just upset that someone cut him off in traffic or if a saber-toothed tiger jumped at him. It doesn't know that. It's responding to that stimuli in the environment. When we're in fight or flight, doctor, remember 3 things aren't going to happen. 1, we're not going to digest the banana. Nobody cares if we can digest that banana when we're getting chased by a tiger. Number 2, we have zero immune system happening because nobody cares. We'll deal with the malaria mosquito later, right? And the third thing, which is most relevant, is all repair orders on any connective tissue that is currently damaged. We're going to suspend that so this guy can run away fast. What that means is the very connective tissue that is causing the patient pain and thrusting them into this fight or flight mechanism cannot be healed because the M1 macrophage never switches to M2. He's caught in this negative feedback loop of fight or flight, and it's never going to happen. When you introduce regenerative signaling factors, the M1 to M2 phase shift is manually overridden because nature put that in the placenta. And that's how it happens. You're on mute, Mick.
On top of that, Dr. Lara, there's a component of this stem cell technology that harnesses the power of the decidua, and it has an anchoring mechanism. So unlike stem cells, which die off very quickly, 95% typically are gone, destroyed or trapped and removed from the body in just less than 48 hours. And the rest are, you have a few more days there. And, exosomes typically get washed out over a period of 3 to 5 days, because they don't have an anchoring mechanism. Whereas this particular product is able to, when it's injected, it's able to attach itself to the collagen and pump out signals for up to 3 to 4 weeks. Whereas peptides, we all know as, they only last for a few minutes to a few hours. That's why we have to inject ourselves every single day for most peptides. We just talked about exosomes and stem cells, but with this particular product, the duration of signaling puts into construction the cells and the stem cells that need to get together in order to provide improvements in your tissue and the areas of injury throughout your body.
So does it still require like multiple treatments, so to speak, or is it like a one and done type of thing?
Can I answer that, Mick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, please. That was good.
So what we want to be respectful of, Dr. Laura, is our body has biological rules, and it heals in 3 stages: repair, rebuild, and remodel. And typically, under good conditions, that first set is 28 days, repair. So anything that the body can repair is 28 days. Then anything it couldn't repair, it clears away the debris and it's got to rebuild it. And then the third 28 days is taking the repair tissue and the remodel and the rebuilt tissue and making them endure structural integrity for optimal functionality, right?
Right.
So if we know that the regenerative signaling factors are going to have a lifespan of 28 days, then we want to minimally give them an introduction of the regenerative blueprints, tools, fuel, and workers that are going to carry them through each part of that 3-stage arc. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's how you want to do it. I like to overlap. I like to do it every 21 days because I don't want any opportunity for my patient to not have the fuel, the blueprints, the workers, and the tools necessary to rebuild, because we're out in this world of complete and utter biological chaos that this thing has no clue what's happening. And so if we can, that's basically how we do it. It's multiple injections.
Yeah. And I imagine too that there's also some other advice that goes along with this in terms of what to eat, what not to eat, like other lifestyle things, like.
Yes. all of the usual suspects that you would do in a well-rounded and well-conceived functional medicine strategy. We would deploy that because, as you're saying, doctor, it's not one thing that damages us. It's a multitude of things. It's one thing that fixes us. It's the multitude of things that we had to deploy to counterbalance the sins of our Epicurean lifestyle in the 21st century.
Yeah. And Dr. Laura, to just continue with what you were asking, the signaling goes on for such a longer period of time. And that's really what helps provide the improvements that one is looking for, in such injured tissue, or even, autoimmune conditions, for example. I mean, we have amazing results in just a matter of weeks for autoimmune conditions, which is unheard of. These are people that have given up hope on all of their conditions. I mean, on getting any relief from their conditions. So, I mean, it's quite remarkable. One of the other things that's really great about this technology is that it's got 4x the power of stem cells in the same one vial. And it's also able to be delivered just like a peptide. So basically, one can inject themselves at home, sub-Q, just like a GLP-1 weight loss medication, just like a medication that they would otherwise inject in their knee or shoulder. It can be locally injected into that area of injury, and it goes directly to that area that's screaming out for help, and it's able to heal that tissue. And more so, it's able to be even taken intranasally. So our patients that are are dealing with any kind of cognitive issues, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, stroke, traumatic brain injury, even frontal lobe migraine headaches, the combination of both the hydrogen and the stem cell technology is giving us amazing results. It's just awesome.
Okay. Well, you answered sort of what's going to be my next question, or like, how do people need to come to you or your clinic specifically, or can it be done from home? So it sounds like it can be at least
Correct.
in part from home.
Yes. Most of it can be done from home. We have the option of patients flying in. We are based in Orlando, so we have Orlando International Airport. Everybody, Disney made sure that everybody can get to Orlando very easily. So for that reason, people can fly in when they need something more into the joint, or need infusion, things of that nature. But for the most part, the technologies, both the hydrogen technologies and the stem cell technologies, can be actually delivered to the patient's home, and they can, in the comfort of their home, in their living room, bedroom, whatever the case may be, they're able to utilize this technology.
Okay, beautiful. Wow. Okay, well, that again, like, just widens the implications of how many people you can help on such a big scale too, which is amazing. Would you maybe give some cautionary advice to anybody out there that might be looking for like a regenerative clinic closer to home for them, like things to look out for, or like red flags that you might want to watch out for?
Well, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily red flags. If you do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got, right? So you have to try different things that can give you a better result and outcome in order to get better results and outcomes, right? So, the local clinic down the street doesn't necessarily, if they're not using technologies that are actually going to be able to regenerate you, and there are not many clinics that are legally. There are a lot of doctors that are doing things in the gray zone, obviously. But instead of people traveling overseas, they're getting things done in the United States without the right level of compliance. But it is what it is. But, this particular solution allows us to be able to give patients not only localized, but systemic improvement in their conditions throughout their body.
Yeah. So, so just to reiterate, like, you guys, it sounds like too, are like well within, FDA regs and all of the things too, just to put people at ease, and to also, I think, let people know too that it is possible that there's so much talk about, and the FDA is not a perfect organization by any means, but you don't have to go to that gray area to get something that's effective and that can actually help reverse and or bring back into homeostasis whatever it is that you've been struggling with.
Yeah, and to address the FDA regs, if you will, this particular stem cell technology, for example, is has all DNA and RNA removed from it, so it's acellular. So there's absolutely zero biologics in it, so it doesn't fall under the category as a biologic in the United States.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah,
So it
that's
provides
helpful.
a signaling it provides the signaling like peptides. Let's put it this way: it's like 312 peptides all in one.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, I think, I mean, there's so much talk about peptides these days, so I think that actually helps put it into perspective.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
is there anything that you want to bring forward that we haven't talked about yet? Anything that you definitely want the audience to know and understand?
Yeah, we have a program that actually can give you hope. I would encourage you to look at all the options and then give us a call so that you know what we're doing compared to what other therapies and protocols are offering you.
Mhm.
And then you'll be able to make a more informed decision on how we might be able to help you from the comfort of your own home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for all the implications. I mean, again, so many like degenerative neurological disorders, it sounds like this can be, really helpful for, and or things like diabetic neuropathy, which again, people just struggle with so much. And I would imagine that not only can this help with the neuropathy, but then could it also like help them reverse their diabetes altogether if they're so motivated to do so? Because we know
Yeah.
diabetes is one of the most preventable and reversible chronic illnesses out there.
Yeah, I would encourage your audience if they have any doubts about what hydrogen does. First of all, I will say that, 15 minutes of breathing in hydrogen gas gives you more antioxidants than eating 1,000 blueberries. Okay?
Yeah.
And if you have any doubts, if your audience has any doubts about the efficacy of hydrogen for their specific condition, all they have to do is go to Google, type in the word molecular hydrogen and their condition. Let's say heart failure, COPD, Alzheimer's, autoimmune conditions, rheumatoid arthritis, whatever your condition is, just go to Google and type in molecular hydrogen in that condition, and that'll give you the AI summary of everything that it can help you and how it can help you,
Mhm.
and the clinical studies right underneath that support the AI summary. So, that usually is our go-to way of convincing people that, hey, just go to your Google on your phone and
Right.
check it
Yeah.
out and let me know what it says.
Yeah. Like you don't
You
have to
tell me
believe
if
us. Yeah.
yeah, you tell me if we can help you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really simple like that, and the advancement of the stem cell technology just allows us to do everything that hydrogen does much, much faster.
Okay.
Right? It takes a lot
Yeah.
longer with hydrogen, but hydrogen, by neutralizing all the inflammation and oxidative
Right.
stress, which is the root cause of
Yeah.
everything that we're up against, right?
Yeah.
But what are we all doing every single day to get the toxins, uh, production of free radicals out of our system? Almost zero.
Most of us, yeah. I mean, I can't tell you, like, I feel like I talk till I'm blue in the face about our detox mechanisms and our
Yeah.
and that burden and sauna, sweating, all the things.
Yeah, detoxing is great, but the toxins are already in our body doing damage every day.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're trying to detox, you're trying to reduce the toxic load in your body, but you're not doing anything about the free radical damage that's happening every single day that's due to all the free radicals the toxins that are in your body, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's what this is able to do. It's able to neutralize in 1 hour of breathing in hydrogen gas, you're able to neutralize every single free radical in your body from your head to your toe by saturating all 36 trillion cells in your body.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Dr. Greg, I thought I saw your hand up.
So when you spoke about detoxification, I'm not sure, where the audience is, but if you're familiar with nuclear factor 2, and the cascade of superoxide dismutase, catalase, and glutathione, your body's own detoxification activation pathways. What's really fascinating about that is we want to activate NRF2, right? The problem is sitting on top of NRF2 is a master lock called the KEEP1 enzyme. It's basically a master lock that's keeping the manhole cover of NRF2 locked. And so now the superoxide dismutase, catalase, and glutathione cannot escape into the body. As it turns out, nature created a master key for that master lock to unlock the KEEP1 enzyme and allow nuclear factor 2 to do its magic. And wouldn't you know, that master key is hydrogen.
Nice. Beautiful. I mean, it's so elegantly simple, yet, we've, again, like just really started to understand the complexity of this simplicity, and then actually, again, implement it. So thank you both. Oh, I think you're muted.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
I was saying that the cost of care is so predictable, because once you start on hydrogen and you get the wins from the stem cell technology, you can maintain that irregardless of your progression in age, because you're detoxifying your body, you're boosting your immune system, you're supercharging your mitochondria throughout your body, you're facilitating very rapid antioxidative effects throughout your body, and that's something. There's pretty much zero cost for the hydrogen to be utilized in our body indefinitely. I mean, you just have to buy water. That's about it. That's the only fuel that the hydrogen device uses, is basically distilled water. Yeah. And other than buying a gallon of distilled water every month or two, there's zero cost.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're sending our listeners to regenmds.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, regenmds.com.
MDS, yes.
REGENMDS.com, yes.
Beautiful. Anywhere else you want to send them, or anything else that you
No,
want
that's
to
a good
them?
starting point.
Okay.
Because then they can have a conceptual understanding of everything that we're doing and how it's very different from every doctor that they've ever spoken to in their life. Yeah. And it'll make sense for them. You want to think of your body as a runaway freight train. It's going faster and faster down the track. Eventually it's going to crash, and we don't want that, right? So the first thing we have to do is slow down this runaway freight train. And how do we do that? Well, you got to get rid of the enemy at the front door, which you're not doing anything about. And that's the free radicals that are causing all the oxidative stress and inflammation throughout your body, right? Yeah. You can do healthy measures to prevent more toxins from coming in by like eating healthy and detoxing, but you're not doing anything about the toxins that are already there over the last many decades that we've been on this earth, right? All the great food we eat, all the great chocolates and desserts we've had, these are all toxins, right? And all this, cell phone and signals that we are dealing with all around us, these are all toxins. You can't avoid them. You have to basically do something to mitigate and neutralize these the effects of these toxins. And, that's how it all starts.
Beautiful. Anything else, Dr. Greg, to add on?
No, I think that as you stated, the more we look forward, as we discover more about the elegance of human anatomy and physiology, I mean, to imagine that we did not even know until 2010 that hydrogen was not just important, but is considered an essential nutrient in the body.
Right.
It's seemingly absurd, but every day we are peeling back the layers of the onion of human anatomy and physiology and discovering that the most simplest, most bioavailable things are creating the most profound reactions and responses in the body to help heal you better, stronger, and faster. So, if you, like me, think aging's a mistake and you don't want to participate, check out our website, because I'm trying to slow this aging freight train down. Jump on board.
Yeah, my dad is 80. He'll be 81 in July. And he told me last week he's decided that he's definitely making it to triple digits. I'm like, all right, good for you.
Have him check
so much of it's up here too. And
yeah,
without question.
100%.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you both, gentlemen. I really appreciate your time and your expertise. And we will definitely send people over to regenmds.com, REGENMDS.com. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Lara. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining me on Light Body Radio, where functional medicine meets intuitive healing and transformation happens on every level. If this episode resonated with you, please like, share, and if you're ready to go deeper, visit drlaramay.com to book a functional medicine consultation or an intuitive healing session. Whether you need to rebalance your body, clear your energetic blocks, or reconnect with your soul's purpose, I've got you. You can also follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Dr. Lara May for daily inspiration, energy updates, and healing tools. Remember, your healing is multidimensional, and so are you. Until next time, honor your body, trust your intuition, and activate your light.